A very good morning to all the students of class 10th. Students, when you look at your book, the topic that you see is how to tell wild animals. What comes to your mind when you talk about wild animals, when you hear about wild animals? What do you think about it? You may think about they being dangerous or anything attacking, and you may get scared. But this poem, How to Tell Wild Animals, written by Carolyn Wells, is a humorous poem where it revolves around the dangerous ways to identify wild animals, how you identify it. So Carolyn Wells has penned down it beautifully in a very humoristic way. The poet actually tries to distinguish one animal from the other. But in what way? In a humorous way. This whole poem is very educative and informative, because when you read the lines of the poem, you may find certain things which you are unaware of. Because the lines suggest the characteristics, or you can say the various features of wild animals. Read it aloud, keeping to a strong and regular rhythm. So first, what you need to do is read the poem aloud. If ever you should go by chance to jungles in the east, and if there should you advance a large and tawny beast, if he roars at you as you're dying, you'll know it is the Asian lion. So when you look at the last words, you will see that these words are rhyming to each other. So you will identify the rhyme scheme of the poem. For example, chance is rhyming with advance, east with beast, dine with lion. It's actually dying, but to make it rhyme with lion, the poet has used it as dine. So in this first stanza, the poet here says that if by chance you happen to go to any forest in the east, you are likely to encounter whom? You are likely to encounter a large and tawny beast. What is the meaning of tawny? Tawny means yellowish brown color. See, when you look at my book, you will see that I have written meaning of different words used by the poet. So when you read the poem, make sure that with the help of the pencil you write the meaning of the meaning of the words in the book itself, or you can write it down in your notebook. And whenever you study, make sure the notebook is with you and you're carrying it, obviously to have a better understanding of it. Now the poet says that if ever you happen to be, by chance you happen to be in any forest in the east, you are likely to encounter a huge and tawny beast. If he roars at you as you are dying, you will know it is the Asian lion. So you will notice that a large beast roars loudly at you. A large tawny beast is roaring at you, and you feel that you are going to die due to fear. Then you will come to know that it is the Asian lion. And just by the roar, you may find yourself you are dying. And just think about it, that it is the Asian lion. As you can see the picture here also. Moving to the next stanza. Or if sometime when roaming round, a noble wild beast greets you with black strips on a yellow ground, just notice if he eats you. This simple rule may help you learn the Bengal tiger to discern. Meaning of discern is to recognize or find out. Here, the poet says that it is very likely that while roaming in the forest, you are greeted by a wild beast. So, generally when you're roaming around in a forested area, you are greeted by a wild beast. You can have a look at the picture. His majestic body, his characteristic with black strips on a yellow ground. Which animal is this? Obviously it's a tiger. Just noticed if he eats you. The poet is cautious. If you notice this beast and if he eats you, then the simple rule is this. What? The simple rule will teach you that it is none other than but a Bengal tiger. So it's quite funny that even if you are being eaten away by the Bengal tiger, you are inside his stomach. How are you going to recognize? So it's just a funny way to tell that if you're being eaten up, then it's none other than but a Bengal tiger. Next, if strolling forth means walking in a leisurely way forward. You view a beast whose hide with spots is peppered. Peppered means sprinkle or cover. You can see the dotted spots, black spots. As soon as he has leapt on you, leapt means pouncing, jumping, pouncing on you, you will know that it is the leopard. It will do no good to roar with pain. He will only leap and leap again. So, here in this third stanza, the poet wants the readers to identify a leopard. And how you are going to identify it? He says that if you happens to walk in the forest, by chance, if you are just walking in a very leisurely way and you're walking in the forested area, you might encounter a beast, again another beast, and you will see that these are yellow spots on its body, spots on its skin, and when this wild beast jump on you, pounce on you, you will find out that it is the leopard, and he will keep jumping in on you until and unless it will tear you apart. So it will do no good to roar with pain. See, what is the meaning of this line? I have written it here. There is no escape from him even if you cry with pain. He will continue jumping at you, start eating you before you understand that he is a leopard. So the poet says that there is no use of, there is no use of crying, there is no use of shouting, because the moment you try to recognize that what kind of beast is this, he will just gulp you, eat you, and keep on jumping at you until and unless it tears you apart. So you should be careful enough, right? Moving on to the next page, page number 44. This is your fourth stanza of the poem, How to Tell Wild Animals by Caroline Wells. If, when you are walking round your yard, you meet a creature there who hugs you very, very hard, be sure it is a bear. If you have any doubts, I guess he will give you just one more caress. Now, as you can have a look at the picture, the poet here is talking about bear. The poet says that while you are walking in your own yard, you're just walking, strolling in your own yard, you may encounter this creature. You may encounter him. And when this creature hugs you very, very tightly, just believe it, that it is a bear. The poet further says, so don't think it's a very friendly hug. The poet says that if the Creator continues to embrace you and He embraces you once again, it will hug you so hard that it will bring you to death. Caress means touch or gently touching someone, right? So, though his hug in the beginning seems, friendly, but it may be fatal. It may lead you to death. His hug is not friendly. He may press you so hard that his hug may bring your death quickly. So, this is a bear. Moving to the next stanza. Though to distinguish beast of prey, a novice might nonplus, the crocodile you always may tell from the hyena thus. Hyenas come with merry smiles, but if they weep, they are crocodiles. Novice here means beginner, and nonplus means confused. Now here in this fifth stanza, the poet here helps to differentiate the crocodile from the hyenas. He says that a hyena always laughs as it swallows its victim. See here a few description about hyenas written. Hyenas are very deceptive. They will attack their victims with weird smiles and kill them, while crocodiles pretend to be weeping before attacking and killing their victims. So both these animals are deceptive. You may feel little sympathetic towards them, but don't be a fool, because both of them are very deceptive. One hyena swallows its victim and always laughs, has a weird smile. And on the other hand, if you talk about crocodiles, they pretend to be weeping. They're not weeping, but they pretend to be weeping before attacking their victims. So as you can see in the picture, hyena and crocodile. So here the poet here differentiates between both of them. He says that a hyena always laughs as it swallows its victim, and a laughing hyena's voice resembles who's laughing? It resembles humans' laughing sound. A crocodile, on the other hand, is said to shed tears while eating its prey. So this is the characteristic of both hyena and crocodile. Last stanza. The true chameleon is small, a lizard sort of thing. He hasn't any ears at all and not a single wing. If there is nothing on the tree, it is the chameleon you see. So this is the last stanza of your poem. As you can see that in the last stanza, which creature has been explained? It's chameleon, similar to a lizard, but they are different. So in this stanza, the poet explains chameleon in detail. He says that a chameleon is a small garden lizard, a lizard sort of thing. It doesn't have ears or wings. He hasn't any ear at all and not a single wing. So the chameleon has no ears and no wings. The poet further says that if there is nothing on the tree, it is the chameleon you see. The poet further says that if you are unable to see anything on a tree, then chances are that a chameleon is sitting there. Why there is a chance? Because chameleon has this, characteristic of changing its color according to the base or according to the ground on which it is sitting. So if the bark of a tree is brown, it will make its color brown. If a chameleon is sitting on a branch or on a green leaf, it will change its color to green. So this is what chameleon does. So children, though it is a humorous poem, but it is equally informative. You might have come across many things about these creatures which you weren't aware of, and it is beautifully written by Caroline Wells. Let's find out the rhyme scheme of the poem. Okay, let's get back to the first stanza. Chance. We will see the last words, chance. Let's give it a letter A. To jungles in the east. East is rhyming with chance? No. So therefore giving it a letter B. And if there should you advance. Advance is rhyming with somewhat? Yes, it is rhyming with chance. So giving the same letter A. Next is beast. Beast is rhyming with east. So giving it the same letter B. Dine. Is it rhyming with any of the word? No. So we'll give it a C. And lion rhyming with dine. So giving the same letter C. Now we'll write it down together. A. Next line. B. Next line. A. Next line. B. Next line. C. Next line. C. So this is what the rhyme scheme we came across of this poem. It's what? It's A, B, A, B, C, C. So this is how you identify the rhyme scheme of the poem. And when you look at the other stanzas, you will find that the poet has followed the same rhyme scheme throughout the poem. So now we'll be studying about the literary devices used in the poem. First stanza. If you look at this line, if he roars at you as you are dying. See, anything which you are finding it very common? It is what? It is the repetition of a vowel sound O. So what we can say? Which literary device has been used here? Its assonance has been used, right? Another literary device used in the poem is allusion. You will understand it more better now. Allusion. This is second literary device used in the poem. What is allusion? Allusion, whenever you refer to an animal or any creature, then we say that allusion has been used. So here you could also say, as here the poet is referring to an Asian lion. So in all these stanzas, this literary device is common. Okay, so allusion has been used in every stanza. Now, next, moving on to the next stanza. Yes. Or if sometime when roaming round, when you look at these two words, roaming round, what do you see? Repetition of what? R. So what do we say? Which literary device is this? It is alliteration. It is alliteration being used here. Okay, roaming round. Again, allusion has also been used in the poem in this particular stanza. So, moving to the next one. Third stanza. If strolling forth a beast you view, whose hide with spots is peppered. Highlighting this line. It will do no good to roar with pain. Again, repetition of a vowel sound O. We could say that assonance has been used in this line, right? Again, highlighting lep and lep. Lep and lep. What do we say? What has been used here? It is repetition because two words are repeated. So therefore, we say here which literary device has been used? Repetition has been used here. And obviously, allusion has also been used. Now, moving to the next one. See children, few you will find very common. Few literary device you will find very common here. Like you say, repetition of vowel sound O is very common in most of the lines of the poem. So I do not have to highlight it again and again. You better understand that assonance has been used, or if any vowel is being repeated, then assonance has been used in the poem. Now, if you look at this line, you meet a creature there who hugs you very, very hard. Be sure it is a bear. What is happening here? That a particular sentence is shifted to the next line and to the next line. And what do we call such literary device? We call it as enjambment. We call it as enjambment. When a particular sentence continues in this stanza to the next line as well, to give a meaning to it, therefore we say that an enjambment has been used. In these stanzas also, you will see what? You will see assonance, enjambment, allusion, alliteration. So, I hope you have understood that few of the literary devices are very common here. And when you write down literary devices, make sure that you write out the line, underline the word, underline the sound, write out the sound, underline the letter. Okay. So these were the literary devices used in the poem.